So today we are going to do a reaction to produce hydrogen gas. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some water and some calcium metal. And just so you know what calcium metal looks like, this isn't the calcium that's in your teeth. That's in a compound. This is elemental calcium, and it has this flat gray color, and it's actually a metal, isn't it, Piper?
Yep,
There you
it
go.
feels like a metal.
Very good.
Looks like one too.
Excellent. So we're going to take this calcium metal and we're going to mix it with water. So the first part of our reaction is water plus calcium. And then in chemistry, we use this arrow. And the arrow is, we use the word yields. Yields means to give off. So when we mix water and calcium, it's going to give off calcium hydroxide and hydrogen gas. So the way we're going to do this is I have a little flask and I have a balloon on top of it, and I've already preloaded some of the calcium metal into the balloon. We're going to flip the balloon upside down. The calcium metal is going to fall into the water, and it's going to produce calcium hydroxide and hydrogen. The hydrogen is going to be produced so rapidly that it will inflate the balloon. We will then get a balloon full of hydrogen, which we can then pop. And as you know, hydrogen is explosive. One of the big things to understand about chemical reactions is when a chemical reaction happens, the things that react have different properties from the things that are produced. Calcium is a metal, water is a liquid. Over here, we're going to get calcium hydroxide. This is a white, chalky substance, and it's often used in products like Tums or Alka-Seltzer to absorb the acid in your stomach. In addition to the calcium hydroxide, we're going to have hydrogen, which is a gas. You notice over here, I've got a liquid and I have a solid. And when I get over here, I'm going to have a solid and a gas. So the big thing to understand about chemical change and chemical reactions is that when it happens, the products have different properties from the reactants, the things you put into the equation. Now, if we look at this in terms of formulas, which we've been talking about in class today, water is H2O. That's a formula for water. Calcium is an element, Ca. Notice that water is a compound, H2O, hydrogen and oxygen, and they're bonded together. And then over here we have another compound, CaOH, calcium hydroxide, and we have another element, hydrogen. So we're taking a compound, reacting it with an element to make a new compound and a new element from the chemical reaction. A way to visualize what's happening, instead of thinking of water as H2O, you can also think of it this way, HOH, right? Now we write the formula this way, but we can think of it this way, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. And if I was going to draw it, here's my oxygen and my 2 hydrogens. It kind of looks like Mickey Mouse, okay? And then over here, I have a Ca, I have my little calcium atom. What's going to happen is the calcium is going to come over here and it's going to kick one of those hydrogens out of the water molecule. It's going to knock it out. And when it does that, the thing that's going to be left over, I'm no longer going to have HOH or H2O. I'm now going to have CaOH, which looks like this. Here's the oxygen, here's the little hydrogen, and here is the calcium. The calcium has replaced one of these hydrogens. When it does that though, here's my yields arrow, when the calcium kicks out the hydrogen, it now has to go somewhere, that hydrogen, and the hydrogen goes off into the air. And that's when we're going to capture it in the balloon here. We're going to capture that hydrogen. So the CaOH is going to also emit some hydrogen gas. So we're going to have this little hydrogen over here. All right? So basically what's happening is the calcium is kicking out one of the hydrogens, and now I have CaOH, and then the hydrogen that got kicked out is now going out into the air. So that's the chemistry behind how we're going to make hydrogen gas today. Also, think about properties. Water, we use that to put out fires, right? It puts out fires by depriving the flames of oxygen. Hydrogen is highly explosive. We're going to see that today. So isn't it obvious that when we have a chemical change, the things you put in and the things you get out have very, very different properties? So that's the explanation video. The next video is going to show the actual reaction and the explosion.
Let's hope that we don't get sued by mentioning Mickey Mouse.